Every CEO hits that one moment when doing it all stops working, when control becomes the enemy of growth, and when letting go is the only way forward. Today's guest has lived that truth and it changed everything. Welcome to the Events Demystified podcast, the CEO edition. Welcome back to Events Demystified podcast, the podcast where we strip away the highlight reels and talk about what it really takes to lead in this industry. This season, the CEO edition goes beneath the titles and behind the brands into the late nights, into the hard calls and hard-won lessons that make leadership what it is. Joining me today is Lisa Gregory, CEO and founder of Gregory Event Service, a powerhouse in full service event design and production. Lisa built her company from the ground up, balancing creative excellence with the operational realities that make and break event businesses. She's here to share the unfiltered version of what that journey has looked like, the wins, the chaos, and the growth that comes when you finally learn to let go.
This episode is brought to you by Tree Fan Events Production. Learn more at treefanevents.com.
Lisa, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here. And while I gave our audience just a quick snapshot of your work, I would love to learn from you, to get to hear in your own words what you do, what you stand for, and what inspired you to build the company that you now lead, Gregory Event Service.
Well, thanks first off for having me be a guest. It is a joy. We've worked together in different ways. So, thank you for having me on your podcast. It means a lot. A little bit about me. I am an identical twin.
I didn't know that.
I'm an identical twin, and I come from a big family. We have entrepreneurship in our family for generations. So that's a little bit about me. And my mom also was a school teacher. My dad was an entrepreneur. So that makes me this structured, love like the coaching, helping people, but also anything is possible version of the entrepreneurship. I started my company, Gregory Event Services, in 2012. I was very young. I got laid off and turned to my partner and said, "Hey, I'm going to either start my own company or get a job. I don't know which one, but this is a great opportunity."
Which one is easier or harder?
Well, I don't know. Definitely more rewarding was starting
For
my own.
sure.
And I was very fortunate at the time. I didn't have a lot of expenses. I'm very good with my money. So I had a good nest egg to be able to do that. And 2.5 weeks later, I got my first client.
That's one of those happy stories because what do they say? It takes about 2 years for an entrepreneur to make a profit. And for many, it's definitely in the months that follow, grinding months of 6 to 9 months to actually get the first client. So the fact that you are so proactive, it only speaks to your level. And let me tell you, everyone listening, Lisa has sent me a script before we even got a chance to actually go through her intake form, to have my assistant go through that and create the topic of conversation. I'm like, Lisa, hold your horses. We're not there yet.
Yes. I definitely am a go-getter. And I can tell you how I started my company. So
I love that. First off, I think this little snippet into your background really paints the picture of who you are, both as a leader and a creator. I really love that. What got you into the mindset to get your company started? What was the idea behind it? Because like you said, you had two options. There's two paths. Could have ended completely different if you followed this other path. I'll go and get myself a job. Let's just say I don't think entrepreneurs at heart are truly employable. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I tried it for myself. It did not work out. There's something about your DNA when you're a CEO, when you're an entrepreneur, It's who you are, and that will transpire in everything that you do and the way you do it. So I'm curious, before we dive into all the leadership and the lessons learned, what does it mean for you to be a CEO? And take us back to those early days. What was your first, I can't believe this is my job moment that you've had maybe in the events world? What did it teach you about the industry?
First off, I started as an event manager. I just wanted to come in and do the best job I could as an event manager. And I would say the last couple of years, I have promoted myself to a CEO. There was a major shift. And I also didn't think at first, I'm not a CEO. I just changed my title a couple of years ago. I've had my company since 2012, but I didn't promote myself except for the last 2 years. And that's because I truly am a CEO now. At the beginning, I was definitely not. I didn't know what I was doing. I started my company and just jumped off the cliff essentially because my dad is an entrepreneur. I watched him fail and I watched him succeed. So I knew the risk and I was like, I'm just going for it because I learned from other people. I don't know, is that an entrepreneurial thing or not? I don't have to learn the hard way. I learned from other people. So I knew I would be successful and I knew I'd turn a profit the first year. I'd been part of an agency before. I'd been part of small business. I knew I had grit. I knew I could just go for it. I didn't worry too much about the risk of starting my own company. Being a CEO in our space is very different. I had to go through the battles to get there. Right?
Yeah.
Some people start their companies and they promote themselves right away. I didn't feel comfortable doing that. And that does speak to who I am as a leader. I needed to prove it to myself.
Absolutely. So what does it mean to you now versus what it meant then?
Now I'm basically the brand standards mascot. I have to step back, and my number one job is set the culture within my company. So that culture then goes out to my clients, flows out to the work that we do, how we work with other people in the industry, how we show up when we work with vendors. So really, I'm the brand ambassador, and that's my number one job. Now I have an operations team under me. For the first time, I have an EA. I highly recommend it. We have a chief of staff, a CFO, operational, major corporate company infrastructure. My job is completely different when I come in. I have a certain amount that I dedicate to my clients, and I have a certain amount of hours that I dedicate to my team. And then I have a certain amount of hours that I dedicate to basically putting myself through grad school daily. I listen to things like Masterclass. I have my own coach. I do reflections every day to see how I'm performing as a leader because I'm not an individual contributor. I am the person who's holding everything together, and I take that super serious. That's the major shift.
I love that. Do you have your team working within the same office building or remotely? Do you feel like having one or the other is a better advantage, or there's some disadvantage to each? How do you look at that?
That is a very good question because I think it does matter. We work with a lot of contractors and we have some employees. The way that we can provide the best experience for our team is the flexibility. So we get the best team members because they want the flexibility. So all of us are remote. That provides them the option to work whenever they need to. Some people are really fast, so they don't have to sit in an office building for 40 hours a week. They can just get their work done and be done. We're globally distributed. I want someone in New York, Boston, Chicago, different cities in Florida, Austin, San Francisco, Portland. I want my whole team all over, not just for my customers, but also for a pulse on the market. I want to know what the market's doing in all those different locations. And then we have help in Taiwan, Tokyo, Amsterdam, and we're trying to get more help in EMEA, but it has to be the perfect fit for the type of person that we want to work. And
Absolutely.
it matches with our culture.
Yeah, and then having someone on that time zone, I think it's so beneficial. I was in Europe and had 2 weeks of travel and events, and I can tell you, it can be a struggle to stay on top of emails and responding during your normal work hours versus sending emails at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
But I love it because I work with an international client base as well. And every time someone puts in their little signature, or maybe at the bottom, as in, hey, I work remotely, I work globally, I don't expect you to respond right away, especially if you're going to send an email, who knows, like 9 p.m. or in the middle of the night. So it's like having that understanding of a remote workforce and digital nomads. I think it's more of reality now than it used to be. But I want to go back to the first icebreaker, the first question I asked you about. What was your first, I can't believe this is my job moment in the events world? If you go back to look at that, was there any lessons embedded into it?
Are you talking about when I owned my own company as a CEO, or the very beginning of time when I started doing events?
You can go either way, whichever left more of an impression.
I think the biggest, oh my gosh, I love this. This is where I'm supposed to be, was honestly in college. I am a huge volunteer. I've always volunteered for multiple organizations. I love giving back. I love making people feel like they're part of a community. That's what I think I'm on this earth to do, period. So when I went to the University of Oregon, I ran an event for 1,400 women, and it was just pure craziness, but it was wild. After that event, the amount of wow, it was a rush. Getting all these women going all over the campus. And when it was over, to watch that and sit back and be like, holy, I can do anything now. That was the feeling I got, is like, I could do anything. And then when I graduated, I got a really good job out of school. And then I got another really good job. And that job pushed me all over the world, from South Korea 2 weeks after I started that job to all over. You just went to Budapest. And so I went there, and I've been to Dublin and Belgium and all over the world planning events. And I don't think I would have gotten there if I hadn't planned that one event in college. That confidence builder that was like,
Yeah.
put me on my butt, basically.
That was your launching pad.
Mhm. At a young age. Yeah.
I love it. So then when you decided to start your own company, Gregory Event
Mhm.
Service, which, as you mentioned, is thriving now, it has a structure, it's like a real company.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
curious, what was the initial startup phase? Because I know for myself, it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't, I didn't have a infrastructure. I was basically the leader and the operator. I was like, Anka, we got to do this. And then Anka's going to go and do it. Just giving myself orders, basically. So when you think about your own backstory, what made you take that leap? Because you said you had opportunities that would take you all over the world. And by all accounts, that's an amazing place to be, right? To be able to travel, to get paid for it. We sometimes forget, and I sometimes take it for granted, how blessed I am to be able to do all of these things and still call it a job, even though it doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah.
And to the outside world, I had that reality hit me when I went to Budapest and met my sisters for a little bit of conference time for ourselves, because I have a large family as well. A lot of them live in Europe. It was my opportunity to actually connect with them prior to having this conference that I was working on. And like one of my sisters, she was leaving that evening. So she got to have just a little snippet into my day as we were starting with registration, kicking off the conference, that whole thing. And for her, it was just mind blowing. Oh my gosh, now I understand what you do. Up until that point, I can explain it, but it just doesn't make sense because they don't understand the reality of our world. And it hit me because she was looking with wide eyes in wonder of all the things going on and all the opportunities she just didn't even know existed, because in her world, she has her own opportunities, other type of experiences, but it was never like this type. So it just hit me that I take it for granted because I forget sometimes. It's almost like when you live in a beautiful place and then somebody from out of town visits you and you take them around to see all the nice places. And that's when it hits you, hey, actually, I do live in a nice place. They are amazed at all these beautiful places that I just drive by without stopping for a moment to take it all in because I'm so used to it. Going back to the question, I want to understand more what that meant for you.
Events Demystified, the podcast for event professionals.
Yeah, I did have a really good experience working for other people. I got to travel the world. I got to do a lot. And I was never one of those people that needed a manager. So I came in, got my work done, like I was good. So starting my own company, I think the reason why I wanted to is it felt like a good time. I didn't
Mhm.
have kids. I had done so much in my career already. I had a level of confidence that was in a healthy state. Starting your business is a big decision emotionally, financially. I was in a really good spot. And I had a conversation with my dad, and he said, if not now, when? And I said, you're right, let's do it. So he's the one that helped me sit down, and I did my LLC. I don't know. I honestly started my first company when I was 8. Um, it was called Best Friends Forever. The logo was a heart, and it had little dots around the heart that represented all my friends and family. And it was a card company like Hallmark. Then I started another company when I was younger. I did babysitting, watered plants, I took care of people's homes when they vacationed. So I think I've always been that way. I've always wanted to make my own money. In college, I was a nanny. I raised several families before I even had a family. So, yeah, just jumping off the cliff, that's just how I functioned through life. And then starting my first company, I didn't make a ton of money the first year, but I did make money. And I was so proud of that. I made enough money to live. And then the second year, I made more money. And the third year, I made more. And I did get help. So, when you start your company, I'm a connector. And so I like to connect with people all the time. I had people waiting in the wings, like I might need some help. So when I needed the help, my brain already had the opportunity. So I started connecting. Hey, do you have 15 hours a week that you could work for me? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you know an accountant? Do you know someone that's in this location where I don't have to travel to do the site tour? You could travel it and save the client money. So my brain works like ChatGPT in a way. I'm like, dude, all of this is coming so that by the time it comes, I'm ready. So that was the big thing. And then I have one very interesting thing that I think most people don't have the opportunity for. I have started my same company 2 times. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
So I started in 2012. And I went through a divorce, which was good. Y'all, if you go through a divorce, you'll feel better.
Not all divorces are good, but I'm glad that yours was a good mutual
It was
agreement.
it wasn't at the time, but it's fine now. At that time, my client came to me and said, "Why don't you come in and work for us? We need a head of events." And I said, "Great. I want insurance and stability." So I kept my company open at the same time. I had a full-time job, and he let me keep my company open for 1 year. Any guesses why I kept my company open for 1 year and had a full-time job?
I don't know.
It's because that was my plan to some time down the line, take all that money from that
Mhm.
1 year and restart my company.
So you're basically trying to stash away some capital to start again.
Yep.
But why did you have to start again? Was it because it was a partnership or some kind of in the way you set up the LLC where you were both 50-50?
No, I was full ownership of my own company.
Mhm.
So I arranged when I could work on my client with the CMO. And he was like, I trust you, Lisa. I know you're going to kill it at your job. And then I hired someone else to manage the client. So I still was the head, but I kept it open for a year, saved all that capital until I knew I was going to restart my company. So in 2018, I restarted it and I took all the lessons from the first time I had started my company and redid my company infrastructure. The first gift I gave myself was I hired a accountant. That was the first gift. If you're in your company, you don't have an accountant yet, maybe get yourself one sooner.
Why did you feel that was one of the things that you wanted the most of all the other roles? There's so many roles to fill in a company, but I'm curious, why was that? Was it because running the numbers just felt like a chore, like time that you're like, why am I spending this time here when my time is valuable somewhere else?
A few reasons. I wanted the relationship with my customer to always be very positive, creative, and
Mm-hmm.
forward thinking. And I felt like money for me didn't feel that way. And so being able to delegate that to someone else, I know that in money, you have to have money to live. But
Yeah.
for me, I don't come to work every day. I'm not constantly looking at my finances as my driver. So making sure someone else, that was their full-time job, look at all the finances and help me understand what products do I need to shift? What's my selling cycle look like? Having someone else own that part and then maintaining that part of the relationship with the customer besides me, that was the number one for me.
I got it. Awesome. So you've said that your biggest leadership lesson is let go to grow. I love that. If there's a tagline, that has to be it. And I feel like every founders learns that the hard way. Can you share the moment, that realization for you, and how it reshaped the way you lead today?
Yeah, I would say it's been on and off throughout my entire career. If you're in event planning, you've probably burnt out multiple times in your profession, 5 years, 10 years. It's every 5 years you get a burnout. And I remember one time I saw Liz Latham on LinkedIn and I just wrote her, "Can I talk to you? Can I call you?" She was like, "Yeah." So she called me really quick and I was like, "Listen, girlfriend, have you ever experienced this?" And I was going through burnout. And she said, "Yes, absolutely, I have." And she helped me through that. And I was right at this pivotal point of where I was going to hire a head of operations. And I was trying to decide, do I do it? Do I not?
Mm-hmm.
And she helped me say, yes, I deserved a head of operations. So that was one pivotal moment. I don't even think Liz knows that. Hi, Liz. Thank you for And the other one was I got breast cancer. And no one thinks it's going to happen to them, especially when you're young. And we were killing it. I had so much in the pipeline. We were so excited. We were having such a great year. And on August 13th, my life just
Wow.
changed overnight. I canceled all of the new business that had come in. I shifted my accounts around and talked to my team. And my team was like, "We've got you, Lisa. You go take care of you. You take care of us all the time." And so I did. I really stepped back. I'd never done that, even when I had a child. And what that taught me, it was okay. My company had the right people on the team that I would be fine. They would be fine without me. And so it gave me the space to have surgery, chemo, radiation, and immunotherapy. I had to focus on my health. Guess what? Nothing fell apart.
I think it's a great reminder for a lot of us entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs out there that, man, don't we love to hold tight to the leashes of control? Nothing will happen if I'm not there. Like you said, if you build it well, things will just go on and you will come back to the things you built and they're not going to just evaporate. Hopefully. I've
Yeah.
also heard stories where he has, but that's like the few in between, and there are lessons learned for sure. So you're basically out for how long at this point?
I started taking time off in September 2023, and I was not done with my treatment until December 2024. So I was still around, I still worked, but there was like 2.5 week period where I had surgery
Yeah.
and I didn't work. When I was getting chemo, I didn't work on those days. And I'd never done that before.
Yeah. I
And
mean, your body
I don't
just, I
even
can
come to
imagine going through that and your body needing the rest and needing the recovery and needing to just take that day off and the days prior or after. Coming back from Europe, there's always a little bit of jet lag. And I feel like sometimes that affects you one way worse than the other way. And the last few days, I was just feeling so tired. And I never feel tired. Like for me to feel tired means I'm getting really sick or something is really wrong. But it's when your body speaks to you and tells you need to slow down. You really need to rest. Sure enough, I think it was Sunday. I just slept the whole day. Don't do that. That's just not something that I do. And I'm like, how am I able to take 3-4 naps the whole day on Sunday? I would just wake up to check in with the kids, play a little game, eat something, go back and nap. And then do the same again and again. This sequence of 4 times. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous. But at the end of it, I finally felt recovered. I finally felt, okay, now my body is ready to function again at its full capacity. So going through chemo, going through something like that, I can't even imagine the toll on your body as your body fights it. Being able to give yourself the gift of not having to worry, not just do the work, but not have to worry mentally that you're not there doing the work.
Yeah. And it's a huge testament to the team, a huge testament to the team. Even when I had a baby, a lot of people do like meal trains, or I took 4.5 weeks off work when I had a child. I didn't do any meal trains. I just, boom, let's go. It's fine. He's great. He's good. We're good. When I had cancer, I was like, we're doing this. This is important. This impacts everybody around me, not just me. Everybody around me. And so I wanted to really make sure I did this well. I learned, right? I learned from when I had a baby, I didn't take the time I needed. Same thing when I got divorced. I didn't take the time that I needed to process everything. So when I had cancer, I was like, by golly, I'm going to do this right. And so I did.
Yeah, I love that. That was me and my first child. 2 weeks postpartum after C-section, went right back to work like nothing happened, right? And the second time I was given the chance, I said, no, we're not doing this again. And that's when basically I think it was 9 months off from my company that I just started. And I was going to ease into it. I am not going to have the same thing with my second and last child like I did with my first. So I felt like it was such a gift that I gave myself and this brand new baby that I brought into the world. Because even to this day, the relationship that I have with my second is completely different than the relationship I have with my first. And I think a lot of that goes to bonding. We just keep going right back as mothers and are expected to do all the things. We're not now dual roles. I go to Europe and every time I talk to my sisters, because they're all living in Europe, I hear them like, oh yeah, I just had 2 years off after my baby just to raise my child. I'm like, that is crazy. How is that possible that we don't even get 3 months off? Give me 3 months. I'm not saying probably 2 years. I don't know what I would do myself if that was the case. I would start something. I know I would start something. I would not be able to just be doing one thing.
I will say, don't be me and take 4.5 weeks off when you have a baby. Take your time.
Don't do that 2 weeks either after post C-section.
I had a C-section too. I was running my first large user conference 2 months after I had my baby, and he came with me to
That's
San Francisco.
crazy. Yeah, just don't do that, because I think that's the thing is like we go-getters, we will get it done. As you mentioned, sometimes at the expense of our own health, the expense of our own sanity, and burnout is very much the outcome of it. So yeah, quite the lessons there. Are you fully recovered now? What's your story now?
Yeah, so I am recovered. It'll be 1 year post-treatment end in December.
That's
And
awesome.
I will just have to wait and see and do all the scans and stuff. But it's not like I was never unhealthy from like a food standpoint and working out and sleep and all the things. I do think stress probably wasn't a good thing. So post then, and even before, I am a professional event planner and we go, but now I have named myself a professional relaxer. And you can ask my husband. When Lisa's relaxing, she is dead to the world. I have a full routine that I do every single day. And when I get back from events and all sorts of stuff to make sure I'm downshifting and I stay healthy. Now, is that perfect every day, all the time? No, but I have a plan now.
I love it. So you also mentioned that leading through chaos is a passion topic of yours. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that chaos and events sometimes go hand in hand. I think leadership in chaos can be an art, especially when everything is on fire. You have deadlines, clients, logistics. They can all collapse and crash at once. How do you keep your composure and move the team forward when such things happen, which is often?
I think number one is I have a growth mindset. If you haven't heard about this, there's books on it. That growth mindset really helps me. So instead of having a fixed mindset, which is always going to be the way that it is, my growth mindset helps me move through challenges much easier. I look at a challenge as an opportunity. I look at chaos as an opportunity. So when we are experiencing chaos, my reaction is, oh, okay, let's pause for a second. How can we streamline? Is everybody doing okay mentally and healthily? Do we need to pause? My chief of staff is amazing. She'll watch everybody on the screen and say, okay, everybody turn your camera off. We're breathing for 5 minutes so that we can get centered and back heading down the right path. So I think the growth mindset is number one for me, because I don't freak out and I don't get panicked, because I know every chaotic moment is a learning opportunity for the next event or to coach my team or help my clients.
This episode is brought to you by TreeFan Events Production. We don't just produce events, we power them with AV, AI, and a strategy. From bespoke AV production planning and management to AI workshops, courses, and keynotes, we help teams build smarter events and stronger businesses. Learn more at treefanevents.com.
Absolutely. So I would say that, especially when you're leading under pressure, right? And man, have we not had leading under pressure, especially over COVID? And those are some unpredictable years. And I don't feel like we're far off from those years, even now, 6 years
Yeah.
almost later. So when uncertainty hits, how do you keep the morale of your team high and your decisions clear? What's your playbook for leading when you don't always have all the answers?
I think the number one thing is alignment. Pausing and having alignment. And I was actually just telling my 12-year-old, because I coach basketball for his basketball team, and he's learning through the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset through basketball. And I said, buddy, remember when we lost one game the last season I coached? I said, remember that we were losing, and quickly everybody felt this swirl of panic. We're going to lose. And I said, remember when I called the timeout? He goes, yeah. And I said, what did I do during that timeout? I decreased the swirl. I brought back the growth mindset. I got everybody realigned, right? So that we could build ourselves back up and go back on the court and try to win. And we lost by 1 point. That's it. If we wouldn't have called that timeout, we would have just crumbled.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing with my team. I will say, now in the position I'm in, to do it by myself was a lot harder. So now I do it with a partner. And that has been way more impactful, because we come in as two helpers, two people that see so much success and amazingness in the person or the team or the client that we're trying to help. And we bring that alignment together. And so that's the number one thing we do, is to prevent this chaos, is pause and get back on the same page.
I love that. And even giving yourself the opportunity to stay in the moment. Live in the future hasn't happened yet, or lean in the past on repeating certain paths or certain mistakes. No, live in the future. And I think if there's one thing that I were to tell myself, my younger self, is live in the present, because I would always live in the future. I would always try to see, what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do 5 years from now? It was always something in the future that it hasn't had happen. And you don't have to be a genius to realize like how plans change, journeys change. What I thought I would do was completely different than what actually I end up doing, because it's not just you making this one decision and going like a train without ever stopping. There's all the other influences, all the other people that you meet on the way. There's also circumstances, opportunities, so many different things that can impact the path. If you were to mentor your earlier self, what advice would you give her now? What would be some mistakes that you need to make to actually learn those lessons?
Yeah. And I will say, I have made mistakes. I think when you make mistakes and even have crazy things happen like breast cancer or a divorce, I grew way more by having those mistakes and challenges in my life than if I didn't. So just know they're coming.
Yeah.
And I guess the advice I give my younger self is relationships are number one, period. And I wish that even when I was young, I would have tracked all the people that I had built these relationships with and made sure I was friends with them on LinkedIn, make sure I was communicating with them more regularly. That's really what opens the doors for people down the line. A relationship, like we just had a client. One of my first clients ever in 2012 came back last year. We didn't go after them, they came after us. And I didn't maintain a relationship. They just remembered the experience I gave them in 2012. Now imagine if I would have just connected with all those relationships down the line.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Oh,
have taken maybe so many years. You could have
yeah.
had them for a while as a client. That's mind blowing.
So I would just keep track of that. I think data is really important in our industry. So many points for me in events is the event is over and I have to go to the next one. So hold time in your calendar, even if it's 15 minutes, add a line in a spreadsheet and write the data down. I improved this. We had this many registrations. Last year we had this many registrations. Create a data sheet and collect the data. I wish I would have done that from a very young age.
And if I were to add to that, how you keep track of maybe awards or PR mentions or things like that, keep track of your own accomplishments so you can remind yourself, maybe on a yearly basis or whatever, how often you need to, of all the things that you have done. Because I feel like over the years, if you've been in events for a while, and I've been in events for 20 something years now, and I'm trying to go back to some amazing experiences and events that I've produced for my clients. And I'm like, I can't remember the names. I can't remember the locations. I can't remember this one hotel. Remember that one venue? It was so amazing. I don't have it in a database where I could track it and go back so many years. It would be so much easier if I kept a spreadsheet of all the events, maybe client names, a few highlights as a kind of like your own memory tracker. Because as you get older, like, I don't know about you, but my memory is just not the same as it used to be.
Yes. There's this thing called habit stacking. If you could create a habit that once you get on the flight back from your event, you open up your spreadsheet, you add your line, and it's just what you do. When you get back on your flight and you're headed home, you do your expense report, hopefully, and then add a line to your tracker. I wish I would have done that. Even still, now we still track all of our events for the year at the end of the year, but it is work and we're off to the next thing always. But that will help you when you do submit for an award or get an award, even when you're recognizing people that have helped you get from here to here.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to say, I met so-and-so, like my mentor, and she helped me get from here to here, but you lose connections with these people over time.
And then also, I would say if you're at crossroads, right? And sometimes there's always going to be the times when you have to face a hard decision and question yourself, you doubt yourself. Go back on that list of things you've accomplished and say, I've done all those things to build up yourself, build up your confidence that if I was capable to do all those things in the past, there's nothing stopping me to keep doing even better and more in the future. And sometimes you need that pep talk. Like when I'm in the gym and I need to hit a new PR and I'm talking to myself under the barbell, I know it's hard. I know it's going to suck. I know it's painful, but I ramp myself up and pep myself up and speak to myself always in terms of, we can do this. You can do this. You've done this before, right? It's easy. This is nothing. So the same kind of pep talk. Yes, it's great to have a team surrounding you and providing you with the endorsement that they see all the things that you've done for the team. But especially if you're a solopreneur, that can be a really important lesson to learn because it's you and yourself. Sometimes you have to talk yourself through doing things and overcome challenges. There's no cheerleading squad behind you to support or even question some of the decisions that you're making, right? So I think there's so many benefits from that. Now, so we're kind of getting to a wrap up here. Actually, what I want to get into is the human side of success. Behind the titles and your to-do list and your accomplishments, who is Lisa as the human? What grounds you? What fills your tank with joy, especially when work tends to drain it?
Yeah, I think it all ties back to my love languages for sure. Quality time, number one. So if I can get quality time with the people I love, that fills my cup. I think that's where you see me. I love to help people and I love to make other people feel not alone. They feel loved, they feel like they belong. So that's another one. So one on one, I'm a real relationship person. If I'm in a big room with 30 people, my cup is not filled. If I'm in a room with one, two, three, maybe even six people, and we're all together, that fills my cup. I'm a big hugger, so I love hugs. I have 4 animals, 3 boys, and a husband. So there's a lot of hugs and that sort of thing. And then I'm an extrovert introvert. So I'm fine being like, hi, how are you? Can I help? And then afterwards, I have to majorly shut down. So I love to read. I love to walk. I love to listen to podcasts and just a lot of self-care, even just food, like really healthy, nutritious food. And then I'm very spiritual. I wouldn't say I'm super religious, but I'm very spiritual. When I drive through my neighborhood and it's pouring down rain and it looks gross, I don't see that. What I see is the beautiful fog that might be coming over, or I see the leaves changing. And I've always been that way. So when it's crazy, because our jobs are sometimes I work from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. After I feed kids, I'll jump back on, put the kids back, then I come back and I work some more. And I think as an entrepreneur, eventually you can maybe scooch out of that a little bit. But when you're starting out, you have to be willing to, it's all on you, right? It's all
Yeah.
on you. So you have to work really hard. But that definitely fills my cup. What about you? I'm curious what fills your cup.
I love the things that you said. First off, I'm going to pick on the fact that I'm definitely an extroverted introvert. In the same way, I can be extroverted for a number of hours, but after that, I need 3 times that amount just to recharge. When I'm by myself, I love it. I don't know how to explain that to my friends. I'm like, I love being by myself. I really don't ever get bored with myself.
Yeah, I don't really either. I can clean, read a book, or yeah.
Exactly. I also love the idea of nature. When I go to a brand new city, one of my most favorite things to do is, even though I'm not a runner, I really don't like running for the sake of running, but I would do a run before sunrise because I want to see the sunrise from the highest point. Whatever the highest point is in a new city, I'll find it. And another thing I'll find is the best crab place, like the French crabs that there is. Like there has to be one. I'll find it.
I love good coffee. Yeah.
Like I need a French pastry, like something that reminds me of my European roots. And nothing speaks more of European cuisine than finding a place that really does desserts well. Because I think everything else can be recreated, but when it comes to desserts, I grew up on the French desserts, and to me, it just fills my heart. Would I have that every single day? No, absolutely. But when I go to a new town, it's like, gotta see the sunrise. And then I have to fill my soul with something yum. And I love that that's a whole lot in your own expression of what does the being spiritual mean? Because that can mean so many things for many people. For me, seeing that sunrise over the horizon, it really fills my soul with so much goodness. I can't even explain it. I have to have it. It's like this high that I get for the rest of the day. As far as myself, I'm a big proponent of being fit for events. It's the trademark. I trademarked it last year. And it's this desire to not just go through the motions without the awareness of our own selves, our health. And sometimes, as you mentioned, you go through something really hard like cancer. Like you don't want to get there to realize how important health is. Sometimes it happens to you, and sometimes you try to do all the things right and it still happens. I'm not saying that as something that you did it onto yourself, because that's not with cancer. That's never the case, unfortunately. But being able to put your health and be aware of those burnout cycles. And you're very right. We all go through those burnout cycles. And if you can maybe delay it or avoid it altogether. Wouldn't that be helpful to you, your sanity, your teams, and your clients? So for me, that mix of physical, mental, emotional endurance is what I try to keep a very tight grip on and do the things that support that. So physically, emotionally, mentally, the things that support me to be the best version of myself, to operate at the highest capacity, and to stay strong and resilient no matter what life events, work throws at you. So that's like my way of staying fit for events. So I want to turn the question back to you. What does that look like for you? What are some of the things you mentioned that you have this routine? Do you want to dive a little bit deeper into that? I'm curious if you want to share what does that look like, and if there's anything that you've learned, especially post this very important event in your life, the cancer that you overcome, that really mind shifted your perspective on what health really truly is for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I also was the director of events for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine for 5 years. So going into cancer, I had a lot of education. So my daily routine now, especially after cancer, is I do take vitamins. So every morning I take vitamins. I take B, D, multivitamin, and I take a blood calcium, like bone vitamin. I try to wait an hour to drink coffee. That doesn't always work, but I try to replenish my body with fruits, vegetables, and water. I try to get in some sort of movement during my busy season. It's super challenging, but now that my busy season is a little bit going down, I'm not working as much. I only have, I think, a couple more events through the rest of the year. I wake up and I walk for 5 minutes and I'm doing my weights again. I'm huge into Pilates, dance, yoga, and I love to walk outside. I meal plan every single week for my entire family. I make sure we have fruits and vegetables in the fridge. So food is a huge thing. We also have dinners together. I think that fills your soul in a way that nothing does, for me at least. That's how I grew up. Meal planning is really important to me. I also plan the entire week. I know that's shocking for my family.
And then you have a family calendar that everybody like gets the memos.
I haven't automated it digitally yet, but it is on my Christmas shopping list. Yeah, I plan out the week. And I texted my kid today. I said, okay, get ready. We're going to watch a TV show later together and cuddle with the cats and the dogs. I build all of that in. Also, at the end of the day, I try to walk after dinner. So I don't know if you guys know the health benefits of walking after dinner, but even 5 minutes walking after dinner really does have a huge health impact. At the end of the day, I meditate every day. And I have for probably about 13 years now. For me and a lot of people that work in our industry, my brain is like a whiteboard. And so every single nook and cranny of that whiteboard is full by the end of the day. And meditation just wipes the whiteboard clean. I also have new head goggles. I don't know if you've seen them. They're a body. They're not Theragun, but it's the same brand. It's Therabody. And they heat up and they massage your temples and they bring your heart rate down. You can measure your heart rate and it brings your heart rate down. And also, if I'm really stressed, I'll lay on PEMF mat. And I don't know if you've heard of this, but you can buy it online. They're not cheap, but there's multiple versions.
I speak about all of those strategies during my biohacking talks.
Yes, y'all, go listen to her talk because it really does work. And then I have 4 animals on purpose. 2 cats, 2 dogs. I have those animals on purpose. It's part of the home environment that I wanted to create for the wellness of this family. And I book all my vacations before the end of the year. All of them.
The whole year for the year?
The whole year for the year. Flights, hotel, everything. And then I do go on at least one retreat by myself every year. Usually it's in December. And I book an Airbnb and I reflect on how I did professionally and how I did personally and how I'm going to shift my behavior going into the new year. And I usually go away for 2 years or 2 years.
No.
2 days.
2 days. I'm like, wait, Lisa, that's a very long time.
I go for 2 days And I surround myself by things I love, right? Yummy food, workouts that I love, TV shows that I love, people that I love, maybe going to coffee and stuff. And I build an agenda all around reflection. I do one day personal and one day professional.
I love that. I can tell you as a planner, it's the way we lead our kids copy us. My daughter, she's 9. I live by my calendar. I plan everything. Like you said, I might not plan all my vacations in advance, but I definitely plan everything to the minute. Like my lunch, breakfast, workouts, and my 4:30 a.m. wake up, all of it is planned. And my daughter comes into my office and I have this one screen to the side where everything is laid out and they can see it. And she would come, Mom, I see there's a spot on your calendar where maybe we should plan some pampering. So
Yes.
sweet. Let's pencil it in. She also has her little calendar in her room, and she literally started since she was 7, writes things down and looks ahead. Same thing with being an entrepreneur. The way we lead, our kids see it and they follow. Your dad was such a huge example for you to be who you are now as a CEO, as an entrepreneur. And same thing with my kids. They've been like pros at lemonade stands for the last 3 years. Every time my daughter goes onto this project where obviously I'm the worker, where I need to set it up and help build it. But she has these amazing ideas how she's going to sell lemonade. And then she sells cat hats. Have you heard of cat hats made of clay? Because let me tell you, they're a hit in my neighborhood and they go for $5 each. And the cat can even wear it. But hey, it's such a great accessories. She came up with that idea herself, right? It's how we lead that really it's an example to our kids. And that goes all the way to nutrition, the way we plan our food and the way we eat and the way we made our kids. I think it's such a responsibility for us as parents to lead by example and not just tell them what to do. The future is for us to take responsibility, lead our kids well, and then let them make their own choices. But I think when you set that kind of example, they become the greatest entrepreneurs. They become aware of their health and fit and ready to take on the day and being able to make right choices, even though it's hard. Being a parent is hard and being an entrepreneur is hard and wearing all the hats is hard. I get so much joy when I see those little examples of the outcome of how one day running into another day, but then there is an outcome. And that outcome is when you see the result of your choices, your habits of stacking, as you said, and all the things. So I'm really happy that we got to have the conversation. I very much relate to a lot of the things that you do. And I think those are important daily steps that make you the best version of yourself, help you operate at the highest capacity. And then it's the example that you set for your family, for your kids, and for your team. I think to just have one last moment, I want to have this one final mic drop moment. If you could go back to your first year as a CEO, if somebody is listening and they're like, all that sounds dandy and great, many years into being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, but if you were to go back to that first year, knowing everything that you know now, what would you do differently? Is there anything you do differently? And what would you refuse to maybe change because it really shaped you into who you are?
Yeah, I became a CEO not too long ago, a couple years ago. The number one thing I would do is figure out a way to duplicate everything I do, document everything. So now we have an all brand standards manual and we've started it over time. So templates, best practices, our moral missions and values, all the things that make up the company so that we can maintain the culture of who we are. And everyone that comes on understands who we are even before they come on board. I even say in the hiring process, if you are super competitive and you're okay with knocking somebody off at the back of their knees, you're not going to work here. We are a team and there's no real hierarchy here. Everyone is kind to everyone. And if you are used to that, then it's not going to work. I can't be in all places at the same time. I wish that I would have duplicated or started documenting everything, creating that playbook at a very early stage, even before I was a CEO, so that I could easily come on and start building my team and they would know okay, this is how we do everything here at GES. This is in alignment with who we are. And things I wouldn't have changed, I think, is all the hard stuff. I love the hard stuff. I love the lessons learned. Without it, we can't get better. We've had some tough conversations. We've had some bad hirings. We've had some really good hiring. We've had to let clients go. And the hard stuff is the stuff that I wouldn't change because it's what got us where we are.
That's amazing. It's not probably what you want to hear if you're young and starting, but it is what matters. Sometimes for myself, I'm like, how will I ever build resilience in these kids of mine? Because they have such an easy life. They do not have the life that I've had. They didn't have to overcome a lot of the things that I had to overcome. How do I build resilience? Because as you said, it's the hard stuff that will really not only build resilience, but confidence to really be able to trust yourself that you will overcome no matter what. I love that you mentioned it. I guess that's the mic drop moment because this basically makes it a wrap for the CEO edition of Events Demystified. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me. For anyone that would like to connect with you, learn more about you, where should they find you?
You can just go to our website, gregoryevents.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. I love to connect with people. We also have the Event Professionals Network, which is the nonprofit I started for event professionals in 2020. We're trying to get to 1,000 members and we're almost there. So feel free to message us on our website and we'll get you in that network. It's free to anybody. It's just a place for people to connect, grow in their craft, and help other people.
I love it. We'll have the links in the episode notes. And if this conversation hit home, share it with fellow leaders, event professionals, and business owners that are also learning how to let go and grow. And until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and stay fit for events. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for tuning into the CEO edition of the Events Demystified podcast.
This episode is brought to you by TreeFan Events Production. We don't just produce events, we power them with AV, AI, and a strategy. From bespoke AV production planning and management to AI workshops, courses, and keynotes, we help teams build smarter events and stronger businesses. Learn more at treefanevents.com.